Welcome to the CVMSDC Straight Talk. I am LaSonya Berry, the CVMSDC MBIC Chair and CEO of McPherson Berry, where your HR partner that helps you strengthen your capacity to deliver on your plan. We're glad to have you join us today's session with Ms. China Green of JE Dunn. She will be sharing with us the best strategies on how to do business with her organization, current opportunities, and how to connect going forward. During this talk, your mics will have been muted and your videos are off. I ask that you share your questions in the chat box, and at the end of her presentation, I will share your questions with our guest so that she can answer them. So let's get started. We have joining with us today Ms. China Green. She is the Senior Diversity and Inclusion Specialist with JE Dunn. So without further ado, go ahead, Ms. China.
Hi, hello everyone. Thank you, LaSonya, for having me. Thank you, CVMSDC, for giving JE Dunn Construction this opportunity to present on how to do business with us and just talk through some of those best practices. So that's exactly what I'm going to do today. So I'm going to go to my next slide, and I always like starting the presentations with this statement of regardless of goals, JE Dunn practices inclusion on all of our projects. And the reason why we like to state that is really because we strive to maximize on MBE participation, whether it's a state mandated goal or participation requirement for an MBE or SBE or whatever the case may be. Our private and public projects, we are striving to include MBE. So I always like to start that off and let it flow from there. The next slide, I really just wanted to introduce you to the team. It's not just me working on diversity and inclusion within the organization. We do have a Director of Diversity, Inclusion, and Compliance, Pete Burney. He sits out of our Kansas City headquartered office. Sherelle Cortez, you may know her. She's our Senior Diversity and Inclusion Manager over the East region of JE Dunn Construction, really working with our leadership to implement diverse and inclusive practices. And then I had to mention our wonderful Vice President, Rich Soretti, who's out of the Carolinas, and he really helped pushes diversity to our senior leadership and really understands and gets what we're trying to do around diversity. So had to mention our fearless leader, Rich Soretti. And then you have me. I'm China Green. As LaSonya mentioned, I'm the Senior Diversity and Inclusion Specialist for JE Dunn East Region. I recently relocated here to Charlotte from Atlanta, Georgia, where I was born and raised. And super excited to be here in North Carolina, ensuring that we are maximizing on that participation, that we're meeting who we need to meet in the community, and that we are striving for success in our local communities around minority participation. The next slide we'll go to is just a JE Dunn Construction overview. If you don't know, JE Dunn Construction was started in 1924 out of Kansas City, Missouri. So we are a founded Midwest company. You'll see that if you've ever visited out of Kansas City. We have built a large amount of those buildings in downtown KC. We are a family-owned but also employee-owned company, which is really important because I believe that when you have some type of stock in the company, it really helps you kind of prioritize where you're spending the company's money and how much work you're putting in for your return. So that's something special about JE Dunn, our ESOP program. Our services include construction management, design, build, and integrated project delivery. So we really focus on that CM type of projects in regards to how we're bidding out subcontractors and things for our projects. We operate in various market sectors. So I like to tell everyone we specialize in all type of construction except condominiums. So that's something that we don't build as condominiums, but we are in every other aspect of construction in regards to healthcare, K through 12, higher education. We have a couple projects right now across the country with aviation. Commercial is really where we land here in Charlotte, in North Carolina. Industrial is huge right now with the 3M projects that we have manufacturing, and then data centers. So those are some of the market sectors that we dabble in the East region. The next point is safety. Always in construction, it's important to remember why we're being safe on our job sites, and it's really for our employees to go home at the end of the day safely without, you know, a missing limb or a broken foot, anything. So we're always safety first and always thinking about whether it's in our personal lives or on the job sites and how we can be safe. And then ultimately, JE Dunn, we're striving to be indispensable business partners. And what does that mean? We want to provide all the services to our clients and really impact that solutions era when we want to solve problems and not just create problems. So that's where that indispensable business partner comes in, and that's what we strive to be. JE Dunn is located all across the country. You'll see on this next slide, but I'm going to really focus in on the East region. So we have about 7 offices in the Southeast region of JE Dunn Construction, and I support pretty much all of them, but really focus in on Charlotte and Raleigh here in the Carolinas. So this is where our office is, right downtown, well, South End, Charlotte, and then we have an office recently expanded to Raleigh. So we have a few projects down there. So if you're interested in doing business in any of these areas, feel free to send me an email or a chat message, and we'll make sure that I get you in contact with those leaders in the different regions. All right, so these are some of the projects that we're currently working on. If you are looking at this top left photo rendering, this is the North Carolina Agricultural Sciences Center located in Raleigh, North Carolina. And I like highlighting this project because it's a very important project. It will impact literally everyone in the state of North Carolina because it has 4 lab components where it'll test your gas, it'll test your food, it'll test drugs, all of those things. So really everything gets processed through this lab building. It's located in Reedy Creek in North Carolina, Raleigh. Below that is Stout Elementary School, which is a Wake County public school. Very proud to be joint ventured with TA Loving, who is a local contractor out of Goldsboro, North Carolina, on this Wake County public school. Next to that, at the bottom, you'll see this high-rise building retailer at the bottom. This is South Park Apex, located in Charlotte. This is one of our largest projects going on right now. It's actually 4 buildings on a plot of land. It's going to be a church, it's going to be a mixed-use apartment, a retail space at the bottom, a parking garage, and I believe there's one other building that's going to be on this plot of land. But one of the largest projects, super proud of it. If you're ever in South Park Mall in Charlotte, you should be able to see it right across the street from where we are. So a huge project for our team. And then Innovation Barn, which is a City of Charlotte job, which we are excited to just have started on a few weeks ago, which will be a multi-use space with some classrooms and things for advanced learning. So super excited about that project for the City of Charlotte. As we go to the next slide, we're going to get into commitment to diversity. I mentioned regardless of goals, we have a commitment to diversity on all of our projects, but really this is where we land, right? It's not just on our job sites. We're also looking to be inclusive in our workplace and within our workforce to drive our mission of enriching lives through inspired people and places. So I cover several areas. Our team covers several areas around diversity and inclusion, including that kind of supplier diversity, diverse trade partner marketplace side. But we also touch workforce and workplace around diversity as well. All right. So we're going to get into the meat of my presentation here, which is what I really wanted to touch on is relationships to contracts. So we're going to talk through client solutions, business development. These terms are kind of used interchangeably now, but really understanding how to use strategy to successfully land an opportunity, a contract opportunity. The reason why I wanted to really hit on this today is because the construction industry is largely based off of relationships. It's who you know, who you like, and who you trust is who they want to work with at the end of the day. So how are you positioning your business to be able to work for a construction management or construction-based kind of contractor industry, right? So it's really based off of relationships. So that's what we're going to hit on today. The next slide you'll see here is the difference I wanted to highlight on marketing versus business development, that client solutions business development. Again, I'll use those terms interchangeably as we just moved to client solutions within our organization versus business development. So marketing, the difference between marketing and BD. Marketing to me is really all about your collateral, right? It's your advertising, it's your flyers, it's the one-pagers that you're pushing out that shows what you can do. Business development is all about making those connections in the community, finding those relationships, finding your supplier diversity managers or advocates within the corporations or within the entity that you're trying to work with to be able to support in your pipeline of work opportunities coming down. So that's kind of the difference between marketing and business development. I know some people kind of group the two together, but I really want to talk about business development and the importance of relationships in this industry. So what is your strategic plan for business development? You know, I have mentioned to a few contractors, you know, what are you doing in the business development side? What does that look like for you? How are you making those connections within those clients that you're trying to work for or that you already are working with? You should have a strategic plan for that. So this is a few questions that you should think of or write down if you already have or haven't, thinking through what your strategic plan for client solutions to be. So I have QTNA, which as my millennial self, questions that need answers, right? What is your mission statement? The importance of knowing what your mission statement in regards to your business development plan is because you want to align your core values and beliefs with those clients that you're potentially working for. So at JE Dunn, for instance, we know what our mission statement is. It's to enrich lives through inspired people and places. So when we're going out and looking for potential joint venture partners or trade partners to work on our jobs, I always say, well, what is their culture like? What are their beliefs and what are they looking to accomplish through their entire business? So having that kind of written down and understand in the community is important. What is your future growth vision in 5, 10, 15 years? Where are you looking to go? How much are you looking to grow? How large of a company are you looking to have, employee-wise, profit-wise? All of this is important when building out your strategic plan for client solutions. The next one here is, what is your company's SWOT analysis? What are your strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats? Tomorrow I'm speaking on authentic leadership in another presentation, and I like this because it really helps to know what your self-awareness is and what your company awareness is. What are some of the things that you're really, really good at? What are the things that you're not really, really good at? And how do you communicate that to others also is important. So understanding what your SWOT analysis is, I usually do this with firms that we're mentoring or in our minority contractor development program, because it really helps to understand where you're coming from in your business and what you're looking to accomplish and where your areas of need are. The next couple of points are current target markets and new target markets. Where are you looking to work? You know, we know here at JE Dunn, our markets are really commercial and aviation. This is where our target markets are as of now, but we also have a new target market. In Raleigh, we're trying to get into life sciences, pharma work. So that's also in our strategic plan on how we can get additional clientele in the life sciences, pharma world. Existing clients, we know who are going to come to us and ask for numbers. We know who's going to continue to reach out to JE Dunn to get work. And we also know who we're going to reach out to on our subcontractor trade partner base to keep going. So you should know that about your business as well. New target clients, who haven't you broken in a relationship with, or you haven't met or been introduced to, and you think that that would be a good client for you, or you can provide a service for them, a need, solve a problem for that particular client. Have that kind of mapped out as well. And then organizations and events. Who do I need to be, what type of organization do I need to be a part of? Do I need to be a part of CVMSDC? What type of events do they have coming up? Have I looked at their membership and clientele? Who's a part of CVMSDC to see who I can target within that organization? All of those are important to your overall strategic plan of client solutions business development. All right. Building client loyalty, preferred. I always want to be a preferred vendor, a preferred trade partner, a preferred contractor. And what does this mean? Internally, and I know at a lot of other corporations, they have their preferred lists. I get asked all the time by people, can I get on your preferred contractors list? And so in order to do that, you have to build up that client loyalty. You have to have your client to want to trust you and to want to utilize you. So here are just a few things that we thought of in order how to implement your strategy to become that preferred contractor or that preferred business to go to. You know, create a top 10 customer list to target and develop a trusted relationship. This is something that we also have internally, even by department, on who we need to talk to and meet. So we had that top 10 list. It might be even top 20 list, right? However many you think you need to target and develop that relationship with. And then organize that list based off of the ones who you know are loyal, who's always going to patronize you. Or then you're going to also tag your repeat customers, the ones who always, you know, send you emails, send you contracts, or send you bid invitations to bid, those type of things. And then you have your new targets, the one you may not have a super tight relationship, but you've met at an expo, you've had a couple calls with, but you just haven't had the opportunity. That should also be tagged under your list. And then referring parties, you know, who's referring potential clients to your organization. So this document is also to contain and track the following, you know, customer names and contact information, when you last contacted that client or that potential client, if you're getting contracts, or if you're seeing that you missed a scope that you wasn't awarded a contract on, you should still be able to track all that information. That's something that we do internally here at JE Dunn as well. We're tracking it through a system, but we also have a tracking through Excel documents to show what projects we lost, what projects we're chasing after. And then also return on energy to keep a customer, meaning is it even worth it to keep trying to chase this customer? You know, I've lost so many contracts, I wasn't awarded, I keep not getting a phone call back. You know, track those things as well. And then set a goal to see your top 10 customers every 2 to 3 months. So just checking in, it can be an email, it can be a virtual, you know, everything's virtual now, a virtual call, virtual happy hour, just making sure that you're staying in contact with your preferred client. So these are just a few tips from some of our business developers. You know, waiting for RFPs means you lose. I'm not going to say that you're going to lose a job if, you know, you just got an RFP or invitation to bid on something. But what we mean by this is know ahead of time if that's going to come out and when that's going to come out. If you're just getting an email on an invitation to bid the day of, or, you know, 10 days prior, whatever the case may be, you should already know or have known that was coming down the pipeline due to your relationship with that client or with that customer, whatever the case may be. Outwork the competition. I think it's also important to know who your competition is, who's always bidding on the same packages as me. You know, who's within that organization on the competitor side, what are they doing that I need to do differently? You know, those are some of the things that you need to think about. Don't slow down when the market is good. Recently, the market has been really, really good. But a lot of people weren't doing business development. You know, they had their preferred people, the clients, they were kind of comfortable in the space. And now we're in COVID-19 and everyone's trying to, you know, rush around and figure out where the next job is going to come from. But, you know, if you already had those relationships in place, you know, you wouldn't have a huge deficit when it comes to when your next project or contract is going to come through. Find the right client and project that aligns with your values as a company. This goes back to understanding what your mission is, what your company is looking to do, belief-wise, core values-wise, because when we're looking for partners, when we're looking for contractors, it really matters if the cultures fit together, because that is what a positive and successful joint venture or partnership or even subcontractor relationship looks like. Business development is all about relationships, not activity. You can attend all the events that you want to, but if you're not connecting and making those relationships, then you're not really doing what you need to do in the business development client solutions front. So make sure that you're doing those connections and you're really building those relationships. And then finally, put yourself in the client's shoes. Get to the why. You know, I would rather someone come ask me instead of, you know, what projects do you have coming up next that I can bid on, instead of asking, you know, are you lacking an electrical diverse sub? Or, you know, what does your current subs around electrical looks like, or marketing looks like? You know, all of those things you have to look at and understand from the client's point of view. All right, so how to do business with JE Dunn. Yeah, I talked through relationships. I'm meeting these people. I've met you. I've talked one-on-one with you. Now, how do I get a contract? What is the compliance side of all of this? So pre-qualification, not disqualification. We'll talk through how to get through our system and get pre-qualified. Our process, so what it looks like from JE Dunn's standpoint on how we're getting an approved preferred contractor list on the diversity front. And then we'll talk through the NCD program. So this is a JE Dunn created minority contractor development program that I'll talk through how we're going to be offering this virtual in the future. So pre-qualification, not disqualification. I always like to denote that. And the reason why is because you'll probably get asked by other corporates or other supplier diversity programs to go in the system and register, right? So at JE Dunn, because we're a construction-based business, we want to ensure that you are qualified to do the amount of work that we're setting out. Or that we have for you, right? So there's a list of things that you're going to need to input and upload in order to be qualified to work with us, or in order to help us understand what your capacity limits are. So you'll input information such as general company information, where you're located, the name, you know, contact information. Simple, right? And then you'll have your company classification. This will be to upload your NMSDC certification, or any other diverse certifications that you may have. This is important because this automatically gets pinged to myself or anyone else on the diversity team to know that you are working on your profile, and will you more than likely follow up or add you to our database automatically when this is 100% complete. Locations, where are you located? You've seen the map of where we do work earlier all over the United States. So if you do work outside of the Carolinas, make sure that you add those other locations where you can provide the service. Accounting information, financial statements, banking, bonding, letter of bondability. This is all sensitive information, right? People are like, why do I have to give you a financial statement, or, you know, what my bonding capacity is? They're always really sensitive to give this information out, and that's fine. We'll talk through that. But one of the things that I also like to mention is that this information that you will share through our portal is only seen by one person, and that is our regional risk manager, Reggie Pope, who sits out of Atlanta. He is a certified CPA, and he really looks at this information in order to understand where your contract capacity lies. So he'll look through that financial information. And again, it's not to disqualify you. It's really just to help us identify what kind of capacity you can work up to. Trade references, project references, you know, this is all where you've worked before, what type of scopes of work you've done before. You'll upload that into the system as well. Safety information, your EMR will be located. It'll ask you if you have a safety plan. A lot of smaller businesses have safety plans in construction. They just might not be documented. So if you have any trouble with that, or a quality QA/QC plan you see at the end, we can always support you and walk you through what that looks like, or provide some type of template on a safety plan or a QA/QC plan. So these are just a few things. You see this link at the top of the presentation. It's sms@jedunn.com. You can access that and start a profile. It asks you to update annually. The financial statements is usually right around or after tax season. So that's when you're asked to go in and upload your latest financial statements for the year, usually any updated on EMR or safety rates. So if you have any troubles on that, we also provide occasionally pre-qualification workshops. So those really walk through how to get in the system and answer questions on a one-on-one basis. Alrighty. So our contracting process, we'll start up here to the left, our outreach email recommendations. So we document who we've met in the community. I've met you at an expo, you've emailed me, or another CM in the area or an organization recommends a trade partner to us. We document who you are, and then we contact you. We say, hey, we want you to get registered in our system. This is your main contact. Please contact me back and say, what's your scope of work is, send in a capability statement. Those type of things happen in that initial correspondence. And then once you get registered and 100% pre-qualified in that SMS system, we usually bring you in for a one-on-one meeting with myself or our risk manager or someone else on our projects team to just talk through your business, what your scope of work is, what service that you usually would bid on, how large you are, where you're looking to go. All of those things are discussed. And then of course you can ask any questions to us on what you're looking to do or what we can help you with or anything like that. So that happens in that one-on-one meeting. Right now, I've been taking those virtual, and they're usually about 30 minutes via Skype. I try to do it with the camera on so we can have that personal kind of touch, but I'm more than open to set those up if you email me. And then our Hub Approved Trade Partner Database, or our MBE Approved Trade Partner Database, really just our diverse trade partner database by location, is where you will lastly end up. And this database goes out to our projects teams monthly. So this makes sure that when we have invitations to bid or projects coming up, that we are ensuring that we're getting diverse trade partners that communication out. And our teams know who you are and what your capacity limits are, what's your certification, where you're located, and the contact. So we send that out on a monthly basis to our teams. So that's a little bit about what our contracting process looks like on the front end. All right, so I talked a little bit earlier or mentioned our Minority Contractor Development Program. So this program, I think it says 2010, it's been founded. I think the other day someone told me 2007 is when it was really starting to get talked about and the processes started to come together. So this is a developmental class for diverse businesses. And it really focuses on contracts, relationships, and then really growing your business from the inside. So it talks through different sessions such as sales and marketing, human resources. We talk through how to bring value to your bid on the estimating side. We talk through leadership within your organization, project documentation and closeout. We talk through time management and project scheduling, and then really your operations side as well. So that's your QA, QC, safety. We'll talk more through business development, how I talked earlier. That was just a snippet of the presentation for that session. And then we'll talk through principles of business excellence, where we'll bring in a consultant to talk about your internal business. So recently, about a year or two ago, we revamped this program from its original curriculum to really provide value for the trade partner, but also for JE Dunn internally. Again, I mentioned relationships matter. And within this program, that's what you're doing. You're not only building relationships with our internal leadership teams who teaches the class or facilitates these classes, but you're also building relationships with one another. So peer-to-peer relationships are important as well. So this program is free of charge. It's specifically for construction trade type businesses. We only accept about 10 companies in. The business owner is the one who we interview and is required to come to class, although they can bring another person to different sessions of the class, depending on what we're talking about. So if we're talking about estimating or a bid, you know, you can bring in your pre-construction manager, your top estimator, whatever the case may be, to that session. But we really want the owners to be in the rooms together for that peer-to-peer mentorship within the program. So we were expected to kick off a program here in Charlotte about a month or two ago, but with everything going on, we had to revamp it and look at it again to provide a virtual option. So we're in the final stages of getting all of that complete to be able to start advertising for our class in the fall to be offered virtually. So we will be using, I believe, Microsoft Teams to construct the classes and having a lot of interaction. And we had to look at it again because, you know, the times will be different, the days will be different, and we want to still make it interactive. So we had to figure out how to make sure that we were still being interactive in a virtual way to embrace that social distancing. So we will be advertising this. If you're interested, you can always feel free to email me, and I'll make sure that you get on that distribution list when we start sending out the applications and going through interview processes. Here are a few pictures recently. So this is our flyer and a couple of things that we do in person. So it'll look a little different now, but we're excited for that as well. All right. So here's some upcoming bid opportunities within our organization. We have a few atrium health projects that we have coming up. As you all know, we're in a very difficult time right now in regards to projects being pushed a little bit later in time. So we're kind of still waiting for the thumbs up to go ahead and start sending out bid invitations for a few of these projects. But we still want to make sure that we're getting you all in the loop and getting that communication when we do get the go ahead. So that goes for atrium health. We have a few, like 5 or 6 smaller projects coming up within their pharmacy subset, and then a few floor renovations. The Moxie Hotel, which is going to be here in Charlotte. The Charlotte Concourse A expansion, which was slated to actually go out to bid this month, but with everything going on with aviation, we're looking to get that ramped back up in next year. So please stay tuned for that. We had a lot of outreach events planned for this particular project because it is about $165 million. We have extensive goal participation on this project, but we have done everything. We've already broke down bid packages, and so I can always talk through more about what that project looks like scope-wise. And then I wanted to add this Duke Energy Operations Center. It is in South Carolina, so if you do work out of South Carolina, we would love to talk to you. I have a couple of virtual events coming up for that project. It is design build, so we're working on the team with the designer to put this out on behalf of Duke Energy in Spartanburg, South Carolina. So if you're interested in that, please send me an email or call me. All right, so that really wraps up my presentation. I wanted to provide some contact information on myself. Also, you see there Reggie Pope, who I mentioned earlier as our senior risk manager, who can support in any capacity of the pre-qualification process through SMS. And then we have Michael Hughes, who's here in Charlotte. He is our director of pre-construction services for the Carolinas, but we also have a Raleigh pre-construction manager who I can also get that contact information for you as well. All righty.
Okay, so I just unmuted myself. Thank you so much, China. This has been wonderful. As we're reminding you, you can also post your questions. I've gotten some privately, but you can post your questions in the chat box, and we're going to be asking those questions here shortly. But China, I just really wanted to point out and thank you for sharing about the strategic plan for doing business. That's definitely a new look at business development. So you taking us through that process today, I know I'm going to go back and revisit how we are acquiring business and looking at making sure how we share our strategic plan as a part of that relationship building to build the trust and see the capabilities. Yeah, awesome. I also like what you shared about the client loyalty. That's also another best practice that I wanted to make sure I pointed out that was good insight, and information shared. Now, I also see, and this kind of ties into the first question, when you look at Dunn, you have marketplace, workplace, workforce.
Yes.
So I know we have, and I got a couple here that are not necessarily directly related to the construction industry. So do you look for vendors or suppliers for any of your professional services, whether it's marketing, HR, IT? Is there any information you can share from that standpoint, almost like suppliers for your corporate services?
Yeah, so we're actually still building out our supply chain for our company nationally, but there are opportunities that we find when we're pursuing jobs or looking at opportunities on projects where there'll be a consultant, we'll need to bring in a consultant, or I'll need to get marketing items prepared. So I do have a separate list outside of construction services that I add contractors or businesses to that are diverse, so that when we're in need of those services, I make sure that we contact that list. So in regards to IT, I don't see a lot of opportunities in that within JE Dunn. Our IT department actually sits out of Kansas City in those headquarters. But then we also have like low voltage and things like that on our actual construction projects. So there may be some opportunities there. But if there's anything specific that any of the companies do that I can potentially answer or find some opportunity in, please just contact me.
Right. And in one of your slides, you shared about the pre-qualifications and how to do business. Specifically, can you share with us what some of the requirements are from an insurance standpoint, both on the construction side and the professional services? Is there any kind of insurance limits that need to be in place, or any other things?
Yeah, so I mentioned the pre-qualification financial statements. It's not necessary, but we would love CPA reviewed financial statements. And in regards to bonding and things, it really depends on the job. It really depends on the scope of work and the amount of package that you're going after. So if you're a smaller business, you're looking to go on, a $15 million, package, that might look a little bit different in regards to the bonding requirements. But that's what's so important with Reggie Pope and our risk manager. He really evaluates that on a case-by-case basis. So there are a few things that we could do to support our minority businesses, such as like joint checks, or we'll go ahead and put up for your supplies early, or there's a lot of innovative things that we can do to support our minority businesses on our projects. But in regards to requirements, that's by project base. So it just depends on how much the contract is worth, what your number is, what your backlog looks like. All of that goes into place in regards to getting that capacity amount.
Okay, wonderful. So the other thing is, so we talked about, pretty much how to become a prime. So the next question is, do you have a tier 2 program in place on the construction side or the professional services side for those who are not able to take on very large projects at this time?
Absolutely. That's a great question. So tier 2 is honestly, although they're smaller in contract value and our participation, we do ask that our first tier primes adjust to our commitment to diversity. So we send out that information. I also chat one-on-one with our primes in regards to like electrical, those MEP type scopes of work. We want to ensure that those are sometimes the largest contracts on our jobs. So we always put out to them that they need to talk to smaller, diverse businesses to contract out, a portion of something within their package. And so I also provide a database list to them for those firms who are smaller and who are only looking to do a small portion of work within a project. That also lists their certification, how to contact. So if you're interested and you're smaller, I would still love to put you in my database, because I also send that out to our prime suppliers and trade partners.
Okay, do you have any like tier 2 goals as far as a requirement as a part of the prime doing business with you, or is it?
Yeah, so that also just depends on the project. So for some of our public projects like with the city or with the state, we do have requirements at the tier 2 level by bid package. I know I'm speaking a lot of construction terms, but we do have requirements that may be 20% on a single bid package. So on a single package bid out by electrical, we may ask that, you know, they get some type of participation at 15 or 20%. But on the private side, it might not have an associated goal attached to it. It just might be a commitment or good faith effort to achieve. At the prime level, we do have an internal office goal of 20%. So that's our internal goal at JE Dunn, that regardless of if it's mandated by our owner or not, we do achieve at least 20% at the first tier level.
Okay. And then the last question that I have is in reference to the COVID-19 pandemic. So from that standpoint, any changes in how you're working with your suppliers, things that we need to know, or is there any specific needs that came about that JE Dunn needs because of the pandemic that you may be looking for suppliers in that's not a part of your normal sourcing requirements or needs?
Yeah, I mean, in construction, you know, it's been deemed as an essential business. So we're pretty much business as usual, just with the regular social distancing. On our job sites, we are, especially our larger job sites, we are screening everyone that comes on the job site for that day with temperature checks. So that is something that we are contracting on. It just depends on the project and what the budget is, right, for it. But those are some of the things that we are contracting out, is those services to do temperature checks at our job sites located across the country. But other than that, construction has been deemed essential, like I mentioned, and business is as usual. A lot of things are being virtual now. I'm in the middle of a hard bid due at 2 today, and it's all virtual. So it's been pretty interesting, but business is pretty much as usual.
Okay, wonderful. All right, well, that's all the questions that we have. And we want to thank you again, China. This has been wonderful and great. And we want to make people aware of the fact that this is recorded and it will be available later. So if you need to review it again, as well as get the necessary contact information. I also wanted to share that the next Straight Talk coming up will be with Jeff Conley with Henrico County, and that's going to be on June 19th. And before we leave today, I wanted to kind of open it up. I know we have our president that's joining with us today as well, Ms. Dominique Milton. So Dominique, I want to open it up to see if you have any comments, feedback that you wanted to share.
Thank you so much, Lasagna. And China, thank you for a fantastic presentation. I want to thank you for volunteering to provide this information so our MBEs can understand how to do business with JE Dunn. Lasagna, thank you for moderating. And to those who are present, thank you for being present so that you can learn this valuable information. One major takeaway, and I say this all the time, but you know, China focused on building relationships and being involved. I hope that that resonated with everyone, because that's what this is all about, is making sure that you build these relationships. You're attending your ring meetings that happen on a monthly basis, and so that you know on a first name basis all the individuals that you want to do business with. So China, I thank you for sharing this information. We will post it on our website. This series has been very, very valuable, Lasagna. And you know, there's no excuse for anyone wanting to do business with JE Dunn or any of the other participants you've had on your calls, because the information is there, it's readily available, and it is very in-depth. So I thank you all. I hope everyone is safe and well, and we look forward to you all joining us on the next Straight Talk series next month. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.